Hi everyone, this second continuation video about betrayal trauma or covert abuse related experiences that people could have had in their childhood. That at the time people experience it, sometimes they do not understand the full extent of what was going on with them because we were children. So I have also had some similar, not as severe maybe experience as what this person experienced in this story, but because I've had some similar experiences, I want to make these videos so that people who do research work, therapy work, even legal work, justice system related work based on these topics, if they aren't aware about the extent or the depth of what could be going wrong in someone's life, maybe people need to awaken to that aspect of the severe covert manipulations or machinations that can happen in a person's life uh, when they are growing up with family who they trust, but may not be growing up in a family who are trustworthy, which leads to major betrayal traumas from childhood days in many people who experience this girl's experience or similar experiences like what this girl narrated in this video. So in this post, which is taken off I think from some Reddit posts, and which can be any person's real life experience, where the reason why I'm commenting on it or trying to create a video, educational video about it, is because there are people who do not understand that there are many kids who grow up in families where who people think are their caretakers or well-wishers may not actually be their real well-wishers. In the previous video that I made about the guy Trey, his story also, we don't know whether he was raised by people who were his biological family. And in this story we see that this girl mentions that she was taken on vacation with her to she had gone on vacation with her parents, and in that vacation what she narrates is that even though there was in the ocean, it wasn't safe conditions to swim, her mom allowed the children to swim, and when the children got into deeper waters because of high tides and were stuck in the water, the finally when the dad noticed that the children are stuck, he tried to save the children, and there were 5 kids, so he tried to hold off the kids and try to take them to the shore, but the shoreline was likely quite far away. So by the time the rescuers came, they weren't able to take all the kids, they weren't able to take everyone, so they left the dad in the sea and they or ocean, and they came back, and then they again went for the dad, but by the time they went to get the dad, he had passed away. Now, the girl says in the video itself that she doesn't remember that day that well. That itself, to me, is a highly suspicious red flag for this narration. And there were many other red flags which many people have commented on the video. They have all accused the mom of being either careless or having deliberately done something, especially because the video also reiterates that after the dad passed away, a year later the mom got married in the same beach where the dad had passed away, which makes it really seem like a cruel and traumatizing act, which rightly so, this girl or any of the other children who experience this day, for them it would be really traumatizing to have a dad pass away in a particular beach, and then next year the parent who is surviving gets married in the same beach to someone else. But while everyone has been accusing the mom of having some suspicious motivations, what many people don't realize is that the stepdad that they got after this second marriage, he could also be involved in something suspicious, or he could be the one who is majorly mentally ill, who has orchestrated this whole thing that led to the dad's death. Because I literally had some very toxic experiences with people I trusted when I used to live in US, and I had gone on treks with some people, and some of those people, not just simply treks, I had dated some people, had gone on treks with some people. I was the kind who hardly ever drunk alcohol all my life in US or even my life in India. Even if I purchase alcohol, for me, I use the alcohol for washing my hair or taking like 1 ml sips of alcohol. That's all I consume. And despite that, there have been days when I have woken up very groggy, very drowsy, like how you get drowsy when you have been drugged. And I understand the effect of medications because I have worked as a pharmacist, so I know all the theoretical aspects of it. As a person who had briefly insomnia problems when I was in my early 30s and depressed at the time, doctor had prescribed me some standard sleeping medications, so I know how it feels when you take sleeping medications. I also, as a person, in India there are certain medications of the antihistamine kind when you are prescribed that for allergies or cold and flu symptoms, or in US when people take those medications for simply their over the counter. When they have cold and flu, people can buy these over the counter medications. These kind of antihistaminic medicines that are used for cold flu allergies, and there are other some similar class of medicines which are used for vomiting sickness when people are going on cruises on the ocean. These kind of places, these medicines that can have usually a side effect of drowsiness, they used to also give me drowsiness when I was taking them for cold flu symptom or for vomiting, anti-vomit pill. So because of this, I know how medications can make you feel drugged, and I'm a person who has a very clear thinking. I do not like having lack of clarity when I work, and because I was a pharmacist and a very sincere pharmacist, I used to prefer having a very clear and crystal clear thinking process while working, because of which I would not consume alcohol or any, and drugs is out of question for me. So even when I was prescribed medicines for sleeping, I would rarely take sleep medications. I took only like 2 pills out of all the 30 pills or something that my doctor had prescribed me, because firstly they made me super drowsy, secondly even after taking a quarter of the dose, normal dosage that people take, even that was making me super drowsy. So I quit taking a prescribed medicine for sleeping. Instead, any medicine like Benadryl that gives people use for anti-allergy purposes, sometimes I would take that medicine for sleepiness. So that was my level of drug consumption, where I, in order to get sleepy, a side effect of a drug is enough for me to fall asleep. And this is a very bad information for the world out there, but this information some people already knew about me. And despite that, I can tell you now that I know how the milder level sleep medications or normally prescribed sleep medications can make someone feel drowsy. Likewise, there are medicines that can make you not simply drowsy but completely wipe out your memory if you're drugged with that. So this girl in this video who narrates that she doesn't remember that day clearly makes me think that she could have been drugged that day after her dad passed away, or even before her dad passed away. If something was going on with that mother and the stepfather, they could have been planning and plotting the death of this father to make it look like an accident when it wasn't really an accident. I was very curious. I put it in the comments also, certain things which I'll reiterate in this video again in case people don't know where my comments are, that it is quite possible that the mother also might be innocent, because some women are very unaware, very unconscious human beings sometimes, especially a mother of 5 kids. If she's the biological mother of 5 kids, she's a very tired mother, very distracted mother, and very constantly just mothering. So she doesn't have the time to rest and relax and chill out. So even though many people are blaming this mother for being non-vigilant, that the tide was high and she should have stopped her kids from going to swim in that beach, if she was a very tired mother and if all her kids were around the 7 years of age, she might have been also a very distracted mother, because children below 7 years of age need a lot of caretaking from their mother. So she might have been a very sleep deprived mother, and if she was that kind of sleep deprived, tired, and constantly working mother who just in the vacation time wanted to just have a break, she could have, unwittingly out of immaturity, have let the kids go and swim in this high tide because she just wanted a break. That could have also happened to this mother. So if we can't assume that the mother itself is responsible for something suspicious that happened that day. She could be a very clean woman, with innocent woman with no ulterior motives, like how most of the commentators are saying there. But definitely the father's death is a suspicious death, not simply because of how all the commentators are saying that the mother was careless and the mother might have had some motives because she got married in the same beach next year. But if some woman who has been tired, who has been for 8-10, let's assume this woman was married for at least 10-12 years in this marriage, since she had 5 kids and one of the kids was a 7-year-old kid. So let's assume that she had been married for at least a decade. If she has been married for at least a decade and she's a tired mother or sleep deprived mother, and she callously or just out of tiredness allowed the kids to just have their fun in the sea, and the dad also might have been tired, because a family of 5 is not easy to be managed by normal parents. If you're ultra rich, you can manage a large family, but or if you have had a hearty village life where you have done backbreaking work for a long time, then also you can manage a family of 5. But otherwise, managing a family of 5 can be a difficult task for either gender. So the dad also could have been tired or resting, and he also observed the whole thing later. And when he went to rescue them, yes, it is very much possible that after rescuing your kids and you're stuck in the sea carrying 5 kids, your arms can get tired, your lungs can get tired, and after the kids were taken away, when the rescuers came back again, by that time too much delay, 30 plus minutes could have passed and could have caused that dad to be exhausted, and that's why he passed away. But while all this plausible benefit of doubt can be given that all these series of circumstances can be possible for anyone when they die under such mysterious circumstances, the reason why I'm making this video is because there are 3 red flags in that whole story's narration. The girl not remembering that day clearly is one red flag. The second red flag is the rescuers were not the way the terminology is there. I'm always not very sharp with remembering the exact words, but the essence of it was the person who has come to rescue these children and their dad, they didn't have enough place, and the dad had to beg that they take all the kids, which means the rescuers try to pretend that everyone couldn't be taken. Now rescuing teams, as far as I know, usually don't have only one person. Usually there should have be at least 2-3 people. So if there were, say, 3 people who had gone to rescue this whole family, and there would have been at least 3 people, because when 5 kids plus an adult needs rescue, I am assuming at least 3 to 5 people will also be sent to rescue them, right? So if the rescuing team should have minimum that many people, even if they didn't have, it can't possibly be that only one person went to rescue them, right? Because one person will have to maneuver the boat, and another person will have to at minimum rescue them. So at minimum 1 or 2 extra people would have been there. So while rescuing, if there was no place for the adult to get into the boat, couldn't one of the people who has not been stuck in the water for so long stayed in the water, and they would have taken the dad instead, right? That makes the sanest choice sense. but they didn't make that call. And how come they didn't make that call also makes it suspicious. The other thing that makes it suspicious is, if they know that, you know, 6 people need rescuing, they would have sent either a larger boat, they would have tried to get another boat to come to the rescue, all these things. Because this is Florida is also, this is another thing, it is not some out of the norm beach where people, Florida is like a beach state, so everything in their beaches will be at top par levels of beach rescuing. Like if it was a beach in Mumbai, where, you know, even though Mumbai is also a beach city, these kind of facilities are not available in Mumbai. So this is not that kind of a place where in Mumbai, if people narrate this incidents and not having enough rescuing team and enough people to rescue someone, I will understand. But this is not Mumbai, this is Florida. So Florida is a state where people go for partying, people go for swimming, people do lots of surfing and beach activities and whatnot. I'm not even a beach person, so pardon me for this, but even though I'm not a beach person, I'm a very risk related person, because I have been covertly abused in multiple levels by different people. So my red flag sensors are always high. That's why I'm making this video, and that's why it is important. And this girl who narrated this story, she might be like a 20-year-old adult now, remembering or reminiscing what happened to her when she was 7-year-old. She might still be traumatized with her mother's second marriage. And if she really wants to know what is the truth, not just her and her siblings, if they want to know what was the truth of this day, it is very important that if she realizes the truth also, she needs to be in a safe environment. Because people, from what I understood from the story, I felt rather than the mom being the one responsible, even though the first doubt and suspicion will go to this mom about the dad's death, I am more suspicious about the people who went to rescue the dad. I'm also more suspicious about the guy who actually married this mom, because this guy could have been one of the men who went to rescue the dad. This guy could have been one of the people the mom called to ask for rescuing help, or this guy could have been like the dad's brother or friend who sneaked inside this large family to get into their good books after the father's death, because he could have a ulterior motive that the family might not know. And again, this is related to the same story related to Trey, where in Trey's case, even though I'm speculating on this, that Trey might have had some inheritance money or something that could be unknown to him, that is causing him to be mistreated like this, so that if he keeps continuing to have bad behaviors and people think that he is mentally ill, or they certify him as mentally ill, then all his inheritance could go into the hands of other people. Same way with this mother also, it is possible that the husband she had, he might have been rich, or even if he wasn't rich, he didn't know that he was rich. Maybe there was some inheritance money which was supposed to come to him, which the guy didn't know about, but other people who have the background information on who will get a particular inheritance money, they could have done their due diligence. People are very smart, and this is Kalyug, and in this day and age and era, in the age of information, tracking someone, getting someone to do surveillance on someone is very easy. So they could have easily done surveillance on this dad and figured out what his family's patterns are, and then that could have been one reason. There are also very cold, calculating killers like Ted Bundy who still exist in the world. Ted Bundy, Charles Manson, they are not exceptional men. Those, or exceptional meaning, they are famous for having killed so many women and plotting and planning their killing. But these kind of serial killers can also be ordinary men who marry women, and all these unsuspecting women they marry because they have this mental illness inside them, but they're highly high IQ people. So because even though they might be mentally ill about murdering people or planning a murder of someone long term, to the outside world they look like very ordinary people. They also tend to hold all these important jobs also, where someone can hold a job of a beach rescuer to create the prominent aspect of being the savior for people. So they can be beach rescue team, search team people. But they are, even though they are beach rescue team and search team people, they also do these kind of jobs so that it's easier for them to hide a dead body as well, or hide a murder and disguise it as a accident. This is something people need to consider when they are choosing people for all these rescue teams, the patrols that do whatever the, I don't know the technical terms because I'm not a cop, I'm not a legal system person, I'm not a my brain is right now having a moment where I can't find the right words. But anyone who has a responsible job in the world, be it a government job, be it a rescuing job, be it a legally responsible job, or anyone who's getting married, at the time people should do their due diligence. I didn't do my due diligence when I got married and I regretted it so much. Where people need to start doing their due diligence. And because this woman, now let's come back to the mother. This mother, if she was truly innocent, which I believe, the more I'm talking about it, I start thinking that the mother being innocent is more likely than the mother being involved in the whole things related to the dad. But if not completely innocent, the mother could have had like some ex-friend from childhood days who was interested very much in her, but she didn't know that this friend is interested in her, and she always friend zoned that friend. But that friend zoned friend had so much let's say stalker like interest in her, that he never let go of her, the emotional attachment to her. So he could have kept tabs on her. That could also be the motivation for marrying her. And the reason why I'm saying all these could have been going on in the background, like a thriller story, I'm trying to tell this, is because this is how the story is seeming to my intuitive senses, that the guy who rescued, likely, or one of the people who was there in the rescue team, is likely the stepfather. If not the stepfather, he is definitely related in some way to the stepfather of these children. And them having made the beach as the setting for the marriage shows that this person who set up the marriage, now most people are assuming the mother did it and that's why she's cruel. But what if it is the stepfather who did it, and he did it because this is what people, the psychology of a killer is. They like to, if they have got away with killing someone, they also like to come back and revisit the place where they have killed someone, because that gives them that secret joy and secret enjoyment. That's why they would do it. And if he is really mentally and socially ill, having antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, or even Munchausen by proxy disorder, or other version of the Munchausen's by proxy, the factitious disorder, if he suffers from any of these kind of illnesses, then he has even higher chances of making sure that the wedding happened in that same beach where he has killed the father. And he could have easily done it, like say he was the friend of the mother, he could have pretended to just visit her in the beach. He could have done that. Or because he was a friend, he could have given her a discount, like come to the beach town vacation, the shacks are the rentals are right now, maybe they went to the beach on a off season or slightly off season, or they got a, because when a family of 5 is there, and if they were an average American family, they could have had financial costs where going on vacations also means like they have to get some discounts, or they're looking for discounts usually when there is a large family. So they could have gone to this beach and got enticed by this guy with some discounts to go there. And this is how the mentality of killers, or like people who plan and plot something against you, can be like. And I've had this happen to me, and it took me almost like 5-10 years later to actually figure out what was going on in my background, because the clues and hints to what was happening to me was present there in my experience with them. But I am having only one end of the experience. Say, like, I am here in the middle with someone who is planning something against me. I am seeing only this area of the experience that I am having face to face with them. But there's this whole area of experience where things are happening behind my back, where I, not being a paranoid person, I'm not going to put some surveillance on someone. I'm not recording someone. I am not monitoring someone to know what is happening behind my back. And not being a suspicious person, I'm not also, or a victimization oriented person, I'm also not thinking that someone could be doing this high class whatever I'm telling in these videos. These kind of thoughts didn't used to happen or occur to me in the past. I was a very innocent type of personality, or a naive type, or even a little bit clueless type of a personality. So because of which, all these things that are partly clueless, I will not say I'm completely clueless, but I was not overthinking anything related to anyone else being harmful towards me, or planning something against me, or plotting something, or doing something behind the scenes. I never used to think like that. But after having had real life bitter experiences where people have done certain weird, mysterious, strange things that at that time didn't make sense to me, but when later I put two and two together, I realized that these kind of things that I'm mentioning in these videos were going on in the background. So likewise, there's very high likelihood, if the mother is innocent, that the stepfather use some of his friends and contacts to get the mother a discount to this place. And people usually, if you are a friend of someone or a relative of someone, you are trusting your friend and relative. You're not thinking, you're not paranoid, so you're not thinking that your friend is going to betray you, or your family is going to betray you. You will accept the discount, because if you are a large family, who will say no? Very few people will say no to discounts while going on vacation. So they might have taken a discount and come to this vacation, and they are thinking they are going to have a normal vacation time there. But while they are thinking they are having this normal vacation time, if they were sitting and staying in a hotel, the hotel staff could have given them drinks and food, and all these things also happen in some of these beach town places where the hotels have all these extra luxurious services. And now thinking that maybe because of the friend contact or whatever good deal they have, these are all places where getting those extra drinks and all that is complimentary sometimes. So they could have easily eaten the food whatever was offered to them, or the friend could have come and met them in the beach and distracted the mom in chatting with the mom and all. And at that time he could have mixed something, because this thing literally happened with me. I didn't realize this, but I have a particular friend in mind, where two friends in mind actually, where when I interacted with them at that time, I didn't know they were drugging me. But later on, in a couple of on self reflection, I realized that how groggy I had felt in their presence the next day after they stayed with me. Like one time a friend came to live with me one day suddenly out of the blue, pretending that she had a fight with her spouse, and then she came to my house. One time another friend who I was dating, I would occasionally go and stay in their place, and we ate pizzas and normal things only that I trusted, that thinking this is just normal food that I'm consuming. But they could have easily mixed something in the pizza, because they got the pizza that is is it Papa John's, I forget, Papa Murphy's possibly. But there's this brand where you get the pizza is made by the parlor, but the baking has to be done in your home. So they give you the toppings, and they shape the pizza the right way and everything, and give it to you in a box, and you have to put the box inside the oven in your home to bake the pizza. So now in that pizza that is to be baked in the house, if this person puts any kind of topping in it that has some chemicals in them that will make me sleepy, I wouldn't know, because I'm trusting this person as a boyfriend. So he could have put something in there, and I was really groggy couple of times in his presence. At that time I didn't realize that I was getting drugged. But now 10-20 years down the line, and at that time I never used to take also all these sleeping meds or anything, so my realization of being drugged happened a few years down the line, simply because I didn't even take any sleep medication until my mid 30s. So from early 20s to mid 30s, anyone, or even before early 20s, because I realized also as a child I have been drugged by my family, the people whom I have trusted, either family or family friends. So these people who have drugged me in different ways, using drinks or using putting something in my food. At a time, because I had never taken sleep medications, I didn't know how groggy one feels, because I had never drunk alcohol also in large amounts or copious amounts. That also made me not have a background measure of how one feels when one is drugged or consumed a lot of alcohol, right? So I didn't have that background information of how it makes you feel. But now that after having taken some sleeping meds in my mid 30s, then I got the reference point of how sleeping meds make you feel. And but by then all this drug based information or drugging done by someone had already happened to me many years back. And one or few other instances happened after I had this reference point of how sleep medications make you drowsy, or how your brain feels like, how your thinking feels like, right? So now I understand the difference. And then, because as I said, I wasn't a very suspicious person of most people. I never suspected that they would do this to me, but later I understood that they have a motivation to do this, why they did it. Even though they have never come up with why they have done this to me, now I understand why some of these things had happened and in my life. And the similar thing, this girl who's narrating the same thing, like she is writing this post on Reddit when she was maybe 25 year old. She's narrating a tale of 10 years back, maybe 20 years back, when she was a small child. But whatever she's narrating in the 10 years and 20 years back tale that traumatized her, she may not realize this, but her life could be at risk if any day she realizes that someone in her family, either her stepmom, or her mom or stepdad, did it. Or what if her mom also died and then she got a stepmom? Then maybe that's why I said stepmom, because this could be the story of not just this child but some other child in some other family where the mom also died, the dad also died, and the stepdad then married someone else. There are also many children when they were babies and they didn't even have you watched the Lemony Snicket's movie? In the Lemony Snicket's movie, there's a series of unfortunate events that follows these kids throughout their life after their parents die. And even though they know who's the villain in the story, the uncle is after their property, they know everything. All the adult kids, not adult kids but more older kids, know what is going on with them. But in their whole story of 5-6 kids, I don't remember how many kids were there in the Lemony Snicket story, but in the Lemony Snicket story there is a smaller baby in the story. That baby doesn't know what is going on. That baby now, if in case by some very this kind of a family life happens and all the older kids and this younger kid gets separated because of adoption or some other reason, for that baby doesn't know that they are inheritor of some property that this uncle Olaf is after. And even though that Lemony Snickets is a fictional story, this happens in real life to certain people. And Lemony Snickets was a humorous way of telling a very dark story. And in that dark story, the kids who Olaf, who the uncle Olaf, who pretends to be their well-wisher, we see by the end of the series that he's not their well-wisher. He's constantly like trying to get them killed or harmed, because he wants obviously the financial control of their property. And the baby never knows all these details of what the older siblings are going through. And if in case in any point of time after the story has ended in the books, the baby gets separated from his siblings, he will never know the detail of how much Olaf has harmed his family. And say Olaf adopts this kid and takes him away, and the other kids are presumed to be dead, but they were maybe not dead. At that time, for this baby, Olaf will be his uncle and family and everything, right? So he will never suspect until some covert abuse like things happens to this baby, and this baby ends up being that portray like boy or this girl who's narrating this swimming incident, they will never know that the caretaker who was taking care of them or raising them, their uncle or stepfather, had all these ulterior motives and plotted series of things that they have done to harm someone. And that's why this is very important, that if there are accidental deaths in the beaches, accidental deaths and inheritances that end up coming in someone's family maybe even 20 years later after a accidental death, sometimes if justice needs to be served, people need to maybe extend the statute of limitations on past crimes. Because if this dad's body wasn't cremated and is still present in a grave somewhere, they need to exhume his grave to see whether he was poisoned the day he died. Because what was categorized as an accidental drowning, because he was waiting for 30-40 minutes in the water while the rescuing team was working, what if when they took the children away from him, someone injected him with something? Or what if before he went swimming to rescue the kids, he was given a drink that made him drowsy, or given some food which was drugged with marijuana like things that made him less capable of surviving through what he had to survive, what he managed to survive through by rescuing at least his kids, but he couldn't survive through enough in the entirety of the process. So anything could have been given, and drugs are so easily accessible in US and in any country of the world currently. People can falsely get drugs by pretending to be sick in front of a doctor, and some doctors will just simply write medicines to patients without doing the right due diligence to know whether prescribing a medicine is appropriate to a particular patient. Sometimes they might have prescribed it appropriately to a patient, but the person who has a murderous intention, he can easily filch 1 or 2 pills from even a patient and use that for killing someone if they had enough medical knowledge about how medicines work. And nowadays with online WebMD and other resources which gives you all the side effects, because sometimes the people who are these murderous kinds, they use the side effects of the drugs sometimes to kill. I used to love reading Agatha Christie, and in Agatha Christie also very rarely she mentioned the drugs used for killing someone, and very rarely drugs were the cause of murder in her stories. But when drugs were the cause of murder in her stories, most of the time it is the side effect of the drugs that were used, or like the subtly lesser known effects of the drugs can be used by someone smart enough and with high IQ to kill someone. So this is very necessary that the right due diligence be done in tales of these kind of accidental drowning, which to the and a really smart Ted Bundy like killer, if they are smarter than even Ted Bundy, they can make and if they are a very good illusionist, they will use one incidence to distract people from understanding their overall overarching ulterior motives. That also some people can do. So here everyone is focused on the mother, and he might have deliberately even done the second wedding, their wedding in this beach, just to make sure that people will be suspicious more of the mother than the stepfather. That could also be playing a part in this story. There could be some other person who's not even the mother or the stepfather who planned this murder, but who funded this wedding. Because imagine this woman, after her husband has died, widows very rarely get married, especially widows have kids, especially if widows have 5 kids. It's harder and harder and harder for a woman to get remarried. If you're a widow, it is hard. If you are a single woman, it's hard. If you're a divorced woman in your middle ages, it's hard. If you are a woman with even 1 kid, it's a harder thing to do to get remarried again in life. It's not an easy thing. And she had 5 responsible dependent kids on her, so she could have got married just out of the pressure of wanting some financial stability for her kids, thinking that the person who she married could have been her long term friend. so thinking that, or someone known to her long term as a friend or an acquaintance. So that's why that she felt secure enough to marry someone, remarry, after her first husband had passed away. So that's why it makes me think that I think that the mother is less likely to be responsible for all this, even though many people are assuming that she is more responsible. And some people are very, if you are a very innocent trusting soul or a nice kind soul, you do tend to have this opposing interaction with people who are, if you are really really nice, you can get really really cruel people in your life sometimes. And there is a life lesson in that, a kind of life lesson that is very hard to process through, because you don't understand how cruel some people can be. But some people sometimes need this wake up call to wake up that this kind of cruelty is existing, and those innocents are sent by God only to become the innocent victim of these cruel people sometimes. Because it is not simply about the mother and these 5 kids, it could be that the people around this person who has planned and plotted to trap this mother and her 5 kids, those people who did this whole planning, those, it might have been a series of people also who could have trapped her. And if it is a series of people, or if it is only one person who did it, or 1 or 2 people who did this to this mother and her mother and the father who's already dead, who planned and plotted it against them, those people sometimes can be high level, high IQ people with high power, who have high motivations and deeper motivations to cause these kind of harm to certain innocents. And why am I saying that they could be a test sent by God? And people who don't believe this may not understand why I'm trying to say this, is because sometimes a whole set of society needs to wake up to how a group of people, or a group of how smartness or how drugs, in this case, in these instances, it's about drugs, it's about smartness, it's about IQ, it's about people pretending to care for someone when they don't actually care. It's about some social system, legal system rehaul that has to happen on earth, because of which these terrible circumstances sometimes happen in lives of such children and women. Or even like the Lemony Snicket like story, which was a fictional book, but I'm pretty sure it was a real life experience of someone somewhere in the world. So if you have any comments or questions on what I'm trying to discuss here, please drop a comment, because I do want a discussion thread on this if possible, because people need to be aware about, sometimes you are a dumb witness or blind witness to a murder that's happening right in front of you, but you don't realize that you witnessed a murder, or you enabled someone to get murdered simply by someone giving you, like someone could have easily given the waiter who's serving the drinks to this mother and her kids, they're having some beach drink, some peachy drink or fruit drink or something on a hot summer day. And in that drink, the waiter usually might use the drinks from the hotel, but instead of getting them the drinks from the hotel, someone might have paid them, like, take for $100 and go and give them this particular drink. And that was a spiked drink. That could have also happened, a spiked drink with drugs. There are many drugs which have extended release drugs that do not release the drug until a few hours after consumption. So while for first 2 hours in the beach they had fun and everything, eventually the drugs also could have played a role in paralyzing the dad, destabilizing the dad, giving the dad a heart attack, all of which with the normal innocent person might think that it's an accidental death, but they were all premeditated than accidental. And this child not remembering that day makes me worry for that child, because if they weren't drugged that day, then she was given drugs to forget that day or hypnotized to forget that day. And if they were drugged that day, even post that day, she could have been given drugs, or hypnotizing things could have been done to her, psychological manipulations could have been done to her to block the complete memory of that day from her mind. which is a dangerous thing, because in those pieces of memory that has been wiped away from this child and maybe possibly her siblings and mother too, in those memories are the real instances of why their father died, or how their father was killed, or why their mom suddenly got remarried on the same beach where the father had died. All these hidden things are present in these kids' lives. It's just that if the right investigation doesn't get done, people don't come to the right conclusions. So I hope this was informative, and if you have any questions, drop a comment. Thank you.